Hey everyone, and welcome. Let me ask you something. Do you ever find yourself lying awake at night just worrying about the future? About money, your job, your family? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to tackle that anxiety head on, and we're going to do it by diving into an absolutely powerful story about God's provision from the book of Exodus.
So this one verse right here, Exodus 16:35, it basically sets the stage for everything we're talking about today. 40 years. And no, that's not a typo. We're talking about an entire generation living day by day, completely and totally dependent on God for their food. It's a staggering thought. And you know what? It holds a really profound lesson for us today about where our trust should really truly lie.
And this is exactly why this story from the Bible is so incredibly relevant. That feeling, that deep down need to control what's coming next, to have a solid plan, a safety net, that's a universal human thing. The Israelites felt it big time, and we for sure feel it today. This story looks that feeling right in the eye and offers a completely different way forward.
Okay, first things first. To really get the scale of this miracle, we have to understand just how desperate their situation was. So let's really paint the picture of Israel's impossible situation. 40 years, just wandering around in a barren desert.
Really try to imagine this. You are in a huge, empty desert. There are no farms, no grocery stores, no Amazon delivery. You have zero way to grow food and absolutely no long-term strategy for survival. And this goes on for 40 years. This wasn't some short-term crisis. This was a whole lifetime of impossibility. And that's the backdrop God uses to show his power and his faithfulness.
So, right out of that impossible situation, we get our first major lesson. And it's not just that God provides, but it's how he does it. He does it faithfully, consistently, and perfectly, every single day.
So what was this manna anyway? Well, every single morning, God provided this bread-like food right there on the ground. The people's only job? To go out and gather just enough for that day. That's it. Now this shows us something huge. Their survival had nothing to do with their own skill or their planning. It was 100% dependent on God showing up, day in and day out.
Okay, so why does an old story like this matter to you and me thousands of years later? Because, let's be honest, we do the exact same thing. We act like our security is based on how well we do at work, or the number in our savings account, or our 5-year plan. We're always chasing control. This story from Exodus is this powerful, in-your-face reminder that God is our true source. Every single good thing, from the food we eat to the air we breathe, it's all a gift from his hand. So how do we actually put this into practice? Well, we can start by just actively thanking God for the small, daily things we usually take for granted. And when that anxiety about the future starts to creep in, we can make a conscious choice, right then and there, to turn that worry into a prayer. The whole point is to shift our thinking from relying on ourselves to relying on God, and that naturally leads to a heart of gratitude.
All right, let's get to our second lesson. And this one really builds on the first. You see, God wasn't just feeding their bodies. He was training their hearts. The way he provided the manna was just as important as the manna itself.
Okay, now this detail is so important you can't miss it. If the Israelites tried to hoard the manna, gather enough for a week just to feel a little more secure, it would spoil. It was completely useless the next day. God actually designed the miracle to work this way on purpose. Why? To force them to come back to him and trust him all over again every single morning. It was basically a required daily class in dependence. And this just brilliantly shows the difference between our natural human desires and God's plan. We want guarantees. We want safety nets. We want a huge deposit in the bank so we don't have to worry. But God's plan is so often focused on daily reliance and morning dependence, because his goal isn't just to make us comfortable. His goal is a deep, trusting relationship with him. This explains so much about those tough seasons we all go through. Those times when we just don't know what next month holds, when we feel completely out of control. Those aren't accidents. A lot of the time, God leads us into those wilderness seasons specifically to teach us this lesson, that real, unshakable security isn't found in our plans, but in our daily dependence on him. So, the practical application here flows right from that truth. It starts with our mornings. Before you dive into the chaos of the day, seek God first. Try framing your prayers around what you need for today. It's just like what Jesus taught us to pray, give us this day our daily bread. And let every need you have become a little reminder that the same God who provided for you yesterday is faithful to do it again today. So after looking at God's incredible, faithful provision and his intentional plan to train our hearts, what does this all boil down to? If we could distill this whole epic 40-year story into just one single idea for our lives today, it would be this one word.
This is it. This is the big takeaway. It's not some complicated theological formula. It's a simple, profound command and an invitation. It's not trust God eventually, or trust God when you finally have it all figured out. No, it's trust God daily, today, this morning.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to really reflect on. As you go about your day, just ask yourself honestly, where am I hoarding manna? What's the one area where I'm trying to secure my own future instead of just relying on the God who has proven himself faithful for thousands of years? Answering that question for yourself, that's the first step toward real peace. Thanks so much for joining me.